Hey guys, in this video we'll learn how to export your 3D model from Blender to Unity along with all the textures and materials. So let's get started. For this demo, I have downloaded this 3D scene from cgtrader.com. A link is given in the description to download this model. Alright, now I'm inside the Blender and I have opened up this 3D scene. Now there are a couple of ways to export your scene from Blender to Unity. Number one method, which is very easy. If you have Blender installed on your system, you can directly open Blender file inside Unity. So let's try the first method. I copy the Blender file, go to Unity, and I have already created an FBX folder. So right click, show in Explorer, and I paste the Blender file here. Then again go back to Unity. It will take a few seconds. And you can see Unity has automatically imported this 3D file. As you can see, all of our materials are here, but the texture didn't came with this Blender file. Generally, I don't use this workflow because sometimes if you have a large Blender file, then it takes a bit longer to import that in Unity. Or in some cases, if you want to import a particular object from a Blender file, then this method is not useful. So let's move on to the next method, in which we will export a FBX file from Blender and then import in Unity. So for now, I delete this Blender file. And let's go back to Blender. Before we export this object as an FBX, first we have to collect all the textures that are applied on this object. So if I go to shading mode, and here you can see this drawer icon, which means all the textures that are used for this object are already packed inside this Blender file. So first we need to unpack all the textures. To do that, I go to File, External Data, and choose this Unpack All into Files. This will ask you to choose a directory. I use the current directory. And here you can see it has saved all the textures inside the same directory. Now if I go to the folder, and here you can see it has automatically created a folder and placed all the textures inside this folder that are used in this Blender file. And now if I again go to Blender, now you can see that the icon is changed to a folder, which means now these textures are loaded from that folder. Then I select the object, go to File, Export, choose FBX. If your textures are located in different folder, then in the path mode, you can choose this copy option. This will basically does the same thing. It will copy all of your texture from different directories and paste them into this folder. But since we have already collected all the textures, so here I choose this auto option. Here you can choose whether you want to export the selected object or not. You can also choose to export camera, lights, and other options. Right now I keep everything to default and simply export the file. Then I copy this FBX file and this texture folder and paste them inside Unity's FBX folder. This will take a few seconds to import in Unity. And here you can see now our model is imported along with all the textures and materials. But as you can see that the scale of our object is set to 100 and also the rotation is not set to 0. These things may create issues sometimes, so we need to fix that. To do that, again I go to Blender, I press N to bring up the transform menu, and here you can see that the rotation is set to -0, so we need to reset the rotation to 0. To do that, select the object and press Ctrl A and apply the rotation. And now you can see the rotation is set to 0. But in the scale, you can see that the scale is set to 111, which means our scale is correct. And the problem is with FBX export setting. So to fix that scaling, again I select the object, go to File, Export, and choose the FBX option. I overwrite on the previous FBX file. And here you can see that this experimental apply transform option. I simply enable this option to fix the scaling issue. But keep in mind that this option is experimental and may cause issues sometimes. So keep in mind, if your object is a child or parent of another object, then using this option may create some issues. Then I simply export the FBX. This will override the previous FBX. Then again copy the FBX file and paste that into the Unity's FBX folder. I delete the previous file. And as you can see right away, our FBX file is looking correct. Let's drag into the scene. And now you can see the rotation is set to 0 and also the scale is set to 111. which means our FBX file is correctly imported in Unity. Then I click any of the material and you can see that the options are grayed out. I can't edit the parameters, and that is because all the materials are still packed inside this FBX file. So first we have to extract all the materials in order to edit them in Unity. So to do that, first I right click and create a new folder. I call it materials. Then select the FBX file, go to the materials section and click on this extract materials option. Then I choose this material folder and click on select folder. And now you can see it has automatically created all the materials, which you can edit them here. One thing I want to point out that Unity will only connect the texture that are recognized by the shader. For example, this material also has an additional height map and smoothness map. But since these textures are not recognized by the shader, so in that situation you have to connect them manually. Like that. And now if you want to convert these materials into a different render pipeline, you can also do that very easily. So for example, let's say we want to convert these materials into HDRender pipeline. So let me quickly implement the HDRender pipeline. And as you can see, after upgrading to HDRP, everything has turned to pink. So to fix that, go to Edit, Render Pipeline, and choose Upgrade Project Materials to High Definition Materials. Click Proceed. Then select all the materials, and you can see all the materials are automatically converted into HDLite materials. But as you can see, our materials are not looking correct. So to fix that, select the materials and increase this metallic and smoothness. And now if you implement the lighting correctly, your scene will look correct. And after implementing the lighting correctly, our scene is looking perfectly fine in HDRender pipeline. If you like this video, give this a thumbs up and subscribe the channel for more videos. And before I wrap up, I would like to thank all of my Patreon supporters, especially Hanasin Conan, Dimadu, Brandon Manion, JB, Hongin, MGLE, Silas Renagal, QB Liu, Heath Close, Stephen Christie, Mamoru Yoshida, Chill Carrier, and Stephen Shizero. See you in the next video. Bye bye.